If you listen closely, you can probably hear it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a notification, not a chime. It's the sound of the friction between your attention and the world.
Right.
You're in a quiet moment. Maybe you're waiting for the coffee to brew, standing at a traffic light, or just between tasks at work. And, without even thinking about it, your hand is already moving.
Your thumb has found the icon.
Exactly. Click, scroll, refresh. That little flicker, that involuntary twitch of attention, we call that the zombie loop.
It's that reflexive, almost totally unconscious reach for the device, isn't it?
It is.
And it's that moment you go from being an agent, someone in control of your own will, to just a passive consumer.
Yeah.
Drifting on the currents of what we're calling the digital deluge.
The digital deluge, I like that.
And we all know that feeling, that sort of heavy fatigue after half an hour of just that.
Yeah.
You feel like you're caught up on things, maybe, but you're also deeply unsettled, maybe even anxious.
That feeling of being unsettled. I think that's the crisis we're really here to talk about. We are, we're suffering from an epidemic of fractured attention.
We are.
And the usual advice, the standard prescription, it always feels so overwhelming. Delete everything, abandon the internet, go live in a cabin.
Which is just not realistic for most of us. It's not sustainable.
Not at all. So our mission today is entirely different.
Our mission is to try and achieve what we're calling digital tranquility. And the anchor for this whole deep dive is the incredibly practical and enduring wisdom of Stoicism.
Right.
We're talking about Epictetus, Seneca, Marcus Aurelius. And this isn't a Luddite philosophy. It's not about escaping technology at all.
No.
It's about training your mind to master itself within this hyper-connected world, no matter how loud all that noise gets.
Yeah, I love that framing because it speaks directly to agency. It's about taking back control.
Exactly.
Epictetus gave us this intensely practical way to look at life. Centuries before anyone even dreamed of a computer, he had that famous line, vivere militaire.
Life is being a soldier.
Life is being a soldier.
And he saw philosophy not as some abstract thing to just muse about, but as a field manual, a manual for the combat officer.
Okay.
And if life is combat, then the battleground right now, today, is undeniably our digital life. It's the fight for our attention.
So Stoicism is fundamentally pro-agency.
It's demanding that we fight, not for, likes or retweets or some kind of digital victory, but to establish inner freedom, real independence. When your attention is being sold, packaged up, and weaponized by forces outside of you, well, reclaiming sovereignty over your own mind, your own character, that's the ultimate act of resistance.
Okay, so let's spend a minute really defining that term, digital tranquility, because like you said, it's not just avoidance. That feels important.
The critical distinction.
If I just turn off my phone, sure, I've avoided the problem for a bit, but I haven't actually salved the restlessness inside me that made me want to check it in the first place.
That restlessness is the key. It's the root of it. If you're operating under the belief that you need a perfectly quiet, perfectly controlled environment to feel calm,
you're always going to be disappointed.
Always, because external perfection is impossible. Seneca spoke directly to this. He saw this constant impulse in people, travelers trying to find peace by just going to a new place.
Right, thinking the new scenery would finally fix things.
Yeah, and he had this almost cutting insight. He said that travelers often find their troubles just come along for the ride because they traveled in their own company.
They took the problem with them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The place, whether it's ancient Rome or a quiet village, or for us, whether it's Instagram or a news site, it doesn't really matter unless the mind is fully master of itself.
And that maps perfectly onto the digital world. If your inner state is just a mess of anxiety or envy or restlessness, then no amount of fiddling with your digital life, changing your phone's wallpaper, downloading another focus app, moving to some niche social media platform, none of that is going to solve the real issue.
The mind has to be able to find its own seclusion, even in the middle of all the chaos, even when the notifications are just piling up on the home screen.
And what makes this so tough right now is what researchers call the attention economy and the digital deluge that comes with it. We are just swimming in it.
Constantly.
This deluge, it feels like the defining challenge of our time, cognitively speaking, because it threatens to just fracture our attention, not once, but over and over, creating this constant mental fatigue.
It's so much more aggressive than just a simple distraction. This deluge, it disturbs our peace, for sure. But the most dangerous part is how it enslaves our deepest desires. Our need for validation, our curiosity, our tribal instincts.
It hooks into all of that.
It hooks in and hitches them to the whims of an algorithm. We are constantly being pulled by these external forces, by novelty, by outrage, by perfectly curated comparisons, to just consume a little bit more, often completely against our own best interests.
So the Stoic goal here is actually pretty radical in a world that's just built for consumption. It's about achieving apatheia, which in the Stoic sense isn't apathy at all.
Not at all. It's more like unalloyed freedom from care, unshaken confidence.
So it's about reversing that role, shifting from being a passive consumer of content to becoming an active curator of your own character, of your own environment.
We're aiming for three things, really. Reclaiming choice, reducing reactivity, and increasing presence. That's the whole objective.
Okay.
We have to stop being tossed around by the content stream, pulled this way and that by every new trend or breaking news story. We have to establish a kind of consistency where our outer life isn't out of sync with our own rational judgment, and our inner life stays governed by our own leading principle. The Stoics called it prohairesis.
That inner alignment, that's digital tranquility.
That's it right there.
Okay, that sounds like a pretty massive task. Reclaiming our sovereignty from what is probably the most powerful psychological engine ever created.
It is a big task.
So where do we even begin that internal work? Let's unpack what you called the bedrock of Stoic practice, the dichotomy of control.
This is exactly where Epictetus started, and it is, I think, the most revolutionary idea you can possibly apply to how you use your phone.
Okay.
The basic Stoic truth is just this: distinguishing between what is in our power and what is not in our power. And we have to apply this idea ruthlessly, separating the signal from the noise in our digital lives.
Let's start with the hard part then. The hard pill to swallow. What is definitively not in our digital power? What are the externals we just have to accept?
Well, in the digital world, we have to immediately accept what Epictetus taught us.
Yeah.
We can't control our reputation, external fortune, or what other people do.
Right.
Digitally, that translates to
Right.
we cannot control the algorithms, their design, how they're optimized, or what they decide to show you next to keep you hooked.
You can't control the trends, the news cycle, the scale of some viral outrage.
Or the lives and opinions of millions of anonymous strangers.
Yeah.
No.
Marcus Aurelius, in his meditations, he talks about this a lot. Learning to refrain from anger and passion, learning not to busy himself with vain things.
And in the digital world, vain things are, well, they're the endless feed of content that promises information, but really only delivers distraction.
Then Seneca gave us the ultimate reminder about all this external stuff when he said, "Nothing is truly ours except time."
Such a powerful line.
Everything else, our online reputation, our followers, the engagement metrics on a post, it's all just a loan from fortune.
And the second we mistake those digital loans for actual possessions, we invite anxiety into our lives.
Okay, so that's the tough part. Now for the encouraging part. What is in our digital power? What are the internals we can absolutely govern?
Epictetus was crystal clear on this. What's ours is our thinking, our intentions, our desires, our judgments, and our decisions.
So applied to the digital world.
The sphere of influence is enormous. We control our attention. We control our interpretations, our habits, and so critically, our settings, our boundaries in our immediate environment. This focus on our internal state, on our ability to judge and choose, that's what makes us fundamentally free, even in a world of external chaos.
I really appreciate Seneca's focus on agency here. He said something like, the beginning is in our own power. Fortune decides the issue.
But we do not allow her to pass sentence upon ourselves.
Yes. That means that initial choice, the choice to engage or not to engage, that's always ours, no matter what the content is.
Always. Let's make this really practical with a few digital examples.
Okay. Example 1, notifications. I cannot stop thousands of people from sending me messages or tagging me or generating breaking news alerts. That external pressure is just constant.
It's a fire hose, but you control the internal response, and you control the intermediate infrastructure.
What do you mean by that?
You don't control who sends the message, but you absolutely control the settings. The do not disturb blocks, the alert configurations, whether your device is even allowed to interrupt your focused work.
I see.
The external signal exists, yes, but your internal system, the citadel you design, that decides whether the signal even gets to breach the walls of your attention. This isn't just turning them off. It's defining the terms by which the outside world is allowed to contact you, the sovereign you.
Okay, second example. Let's talk about viral outrage. We all see it. You open the feed, and suddenly the entire digital world is furious about something. We can't control the rhetoric, the scale of the anger, the content being shared.
And Seneca warned us about this ages ago. He counseled against crowds that defile you. He said, you must either imitate the world's fury or you must loathe it.
Your power here, then, lies entirely in your assent.
Exactly. You control your interpretation and your emotional response.
Yeah.
Do you give your judgment over to the frenzy? Or do you recognize that the content is just an impression, a fantasia that needs your rational assessment before you give it any belief or emotional energy?
Right.
Marcus Aurelius taught that we should only concern ourselves with things that are in our own power. What other people are saying or doing, especially when they're all fired up online, is not a worthy use of our attention.
And the third one, and maybe the most insidious, is the comparison spiral. It's driven by these perfectly curated feeds. We see the fleeting gold leaf prosperity, as Seneca put it, other people's perfect lives, perfect trips, perfect jobs.
And this is a direct assault on our internal opinion.
Yeah.
And our opinion is absolutely within our power.
So when we feel that surge of status anxiety, we are giving way too much weight to an external, transient thing. Marcus Aurelius taught us that even great fame is but little, and it's preserved by silly mortal men who are themselves going to die.
We control our opinion about these external displays. The Stoic realizes that chasing that life that other people admire is folly. Nature's basic needs are pretty small, but the demands of opinion, fueled by social media, they're boundless, infinite.
So we choose. We choose whether to envy the gold leaf or to just dismiss the whole thing as vanity.
That choice is everything.
Okay, so we have the foundation, the control model. Now we need the tool, the operational tool to stop that zombie loop in real time. We need a way to apply the dichotomy of control right when the impulse strikes.
This is where philosophy becomes like a martial art. The control of your intentions and decisions is useless if you don't have a micro skill that interrupts reactive behavior.
You can't just willpower your way through it.
No. Relying purely on willpower against an app designed by thousands of PhDs to hijack your attention is, well, it's a recipe for failure. You need a break in the circuit, a protocol for checking your own judgment before you act.
Because that impulse, that fantasia, it hits before your conscious brain can even get involved. The hand reaches, the screen lights up, and poof, you're gone.
And the Stoic pause is designed specifically to interrupt the automatic assent, that reflexive yes we give to every impulse.
Okay, that's a key technical term there, assent.
It is. The Stoics recognize that the initial impression, the fantasia, is involuntary. A thought or an image just flashes across your mind.
You can't stop that.
You can't. But the next step, the decision to grant assent, to believe it or to act on it, that is entirely voluntary. The 5-second pause is the time you give your rational self, your logos, to step in and veto the impulse.
So we're talking about a very specific, actionable tactic here. The Stoic pause protocol. A forced, say, 5-second physical break before you engage with the device or an app.
And during those 5 seconds, you have to deploy the fantasia check. It's a little microscript.
Okay, what's the script?
3 critical questions you have to ask yourself, and you have to be sincere about it. First, what is the nature of this action?
And you have to dig deep on that one. Am I actually looking for information? Or am I just bored? Am I anxious? Am I looking for a little hit of validation?
Am I escaping a difficult task I should be doing? Yeah. Naming that underlying motivation just strips away its power.
Okay, second question.
What is the likely outcome? And we have to be brutally honest here. Am I going to feel better or worse after 20 minutes of scrolling?
Right. If the history of checking an app 100 times tells you it always leads to comparison anxiety and feeling like you've wasted your time, well, the answer's probably worse.
And when you pause and honestly look at that probable result, the appeal of the action just plummets.
And the third question.
The simplest, but maybe the most focused. Is this necessary right now? Does this action serve my highest purpose, my leading principle? Or is it just occupying me?
Seneca worried about this. People busying themselves with, what did he call it, the useless paraphernalia of literature, when they should be striving for wisdom.
We're asking the same question. Is this check wisdom, or is it just useless paraphernalia?
The real power here seems to be identifying that underlying emotion, the boredom, the anxiety, the craving.
Yes, because if you know you're checking your phone because you feel anxious, you can address the anxiety, the internal feeling, instead of just trying to medicate it with the external distraction of the phone.
Okay, let's try a quick in-the-moment exercise right now for everyone listening to practice this micro skill.
Good idea. If you have your phone nearby, just place your hand on it. Don't pick it up. Just notice the impulse.
Yeah.
That little mental or physical tug to unlock it or check for notification.
Feel that sensation. Is it like a tension in your stomach? Little warmth in your palm? Just a vague mental fog? Now, gently label it. Don't judge it, just identify it.
If you're reaching for it because you feel lonely, just label it in your head.
Yeah.
This is the impulse driven by loneliness. If it's just a habit, label it. This is the feeling of boredom.
So take 5 seconds. Just breathe. Do nothing. Now ask yourself that core question. What happens if I don't give in to this check right now?
And reinforce that idea in your mind.
Yeah.
Choosing not to act is a choice. And therefore, it is the ultimate immediate act of freedom. You are claiming that 5 seconds back for your rational self. This tiny discipline is the difference between being pulled downstream by the digital current and steering your own boat.
Okay, so moving from that micro skill, the pause, let's zoom out to the environment. The Stoics were really engineers of their own lives, of their surroundings, which brings us to this concept of the inner citadel, which is not just a mental defense, right? It's also a practical environmental design that supports those mental boundaries.
Absolutely. Marcus Aurelius taught that the will, the leading principle proheresis, has to be the governor of the whole being. The inner citadel is fundamentally it's our opinions, our assent.
But if the outside world is constantly just hammering on the walls, even the strongest mind is going to get tired.
Exactly. You'll get exhausted. We need protective infrastructure.
If we let the physical world constantly interrupt our mental space, we're making the internal job infinitely harder.
Seneca warned us about this. He said the mind that starts at every chance sound is unstable. And he noted that words distract even more than noises because words demand our attention. They demand interpretation.
And our modern notifications are perfectly engineered words demanding our attention 24 hours a day.
Which is why our first practical system for building this citadel is the notification mode.
Okay.
This means rigorously implementing do not disturb blocks, disabling those little red notification badges, which are huge psychological triggers, and resetting every alert that isn't absolutely critical.
Every external ping is a chance sound that can destabilize the mind.
The goal is to make your phone a tool that you consult intentionally, not a siren that is constantly calling out to you.
The second practical system is about adding friction, intentionality. We call it phone placement.
This is so simple but so effective.
The moment the phone is right next to you, that zombie loop just requires a tiny reflexive movement. But if you put it in another room, or even just across your desk,
You introduce an energy cost, a conscious movement that forces you to engage that stoic pause before the action can even happen.
that friction is incredibly powerful.
It gives the rational mind a window to jump in and reassert control. Marcus Aurelius talked about needing few things and avoiding many businesses. If your phone is always in your hand, it suggests dependency, a lack of self-sufficiency.
Right.
Placing it out of reach says, I decide when this tool is useful, not the other way around.
Okay, and the third system is the digital diet. This needs the same kind of meticulous curation we'd apply to our physical health.
It does. Seneca spoke about avoiding the superfluous. He said we should limit consumption as much as we can and allow free play to the spirit.
This means going beyond just unfollowing a few random accounts.
Oh yeah. It means intentionally muting or removing accounts and feeds that promote outrage, that feed comparison spirals, or that are simply the useless paraphernalia that fill our time without serving our purpose.
You are curating your cognitive nutrition.
Exactly. If your input is junk food for the mind, your internal state will be restless and reactive. We have to actively choose inputs that promote wisdom or learning or genuine connection instead of just passive consumption.
Just think about the simple anecdotal example of how your entire morning can change when your phone is intentionally left out of the bedroom.
It's a game changer.
Normally, the first impulse is that reflexive check. You're injecting external demands, anxiety, news headlines directly into your fresh, rested mind. That immediately puts you in a state of reaction for the rest of the day.
But when the device is in the kitchen or the living room, you reclaim that first hour. You don't start the day responding to the noise of the world. You start the day engaging with your own leading principle.
You're forcing yourself to check in with your inner space first.
You establish sovereignty before you even invite the external current in. It's the practical, physical realization of the inner citadel. You secure the borders so that the governor of your mind can make rational, intentional choices.
All right, so we have the infrastructure, we've built the boundaries, we have the pause micro skill, but we have to prepare for the inevitable.
Right. Even the best defenses can fail.
So we need some preventative mental practices, things that can immunize us against worry and comparison once those digital stressors inevitably break through our defenses.
This brings us to a core Stoic practice, premeditatio malorum, the rehearsal of future stress.
Okay.
This ancient practice advised us to consider not just what usually happens, but what can happen. Seneca used the really stark example of the Great Fire of Lions, and he noted that the unexpected is what puts the heaviest load upon us.
Yeah, so you rehearse the potential catastrophe. That way, when it arrives, you meet it with readiness, not with shock.
Precisely. And applied digitally, this is so vital because digital stress is almost always unexpected and it's high velocity.
Right.
We need to rehearse specific digital harms. What if I encounter terrible, unexpected bad news in my feed? What if a snarky comment is directed at me publicly? What if I get some really negative feedback on my work in an email?
So you create a sort of digital rehearsal script.
Yes. It forces you to mentally anticipate the trigger and that physiological surge that comes with it. The tightening in the chest, the spike of defensive anger. You anticipate the feeling, and then you ask Seneca's question. Am I tormented without sufficient reason? Do I convert what is not an evil into what is an evil?
Because rumor and ill report, which is really the digital equivalent of the ancient gossip mill, they often cause more trouble than the actual truth, which at least has definite boundaries.
By rehearsing a worst-case scenario. Okay, I saw the bad news, I felt anxious, I chose to close the app and investigate the facts later, I chose not to share or comment immediately. We preempt the emotional shock. We diminish the power of the external event.
We're deciding our response before the stressor even arrives.
It's preloading your rational choice.
Yeah.
The second powerful immunization tool is the view from above. This is a perspective shift taught by Marcus Aurelius, and it's primarily used to dissolve the power of status anxiety and comparison, which are just relentless online.
How does that work?
His practice was a kind of mental decomposition, describing an object in its own proper nature, bare and naked. So instead of seeing an online post as proof of someone else's superior life, you decompose it.
What is it, really?
It's just a collection of pixels on a manufactured screen. It's a carefully edited image, a transient opinion held by a few temporary individuals.
We can apply this to online metrics, to that hunger for digital fame.
Absolutely. Marcus Aurelius noted that the place where you live is but a very little corner of the earth, and even the greatest fame is only preserved by other short-lived mortals.
So when we feel pulled into that comparison game, we have to zoom out.
You zoom out. Seneca said that contemplating the universe brings rest because it reminds us of the massive scale of eternity and space compared to our tiny, fleeting concerns.
Okay, let's try our second mini exercise then. The next time you feel that comparison anxiety, say, you see a perfect, impossibly glossy post about someone else's success, or you're fretting over a lack of likes on your own stuff, just stop.
Mentally shrink the screen in your mind. Shrink the perceived importance of that online post down to the size of a single dust mote floating in the vastness of the universe.
Realize that whatever approval or envy that post generates, it's only being preserved by other short-lived, fallible mortals.
These are temporary external goods, indifferent things that have absolutely no bearing on your character or your inner freedom.
This visualization practice, this perspective shift, it's the ultimate way to reinforce the dichotomy of control.
It is. It conditions us so that when fortune, whether it's digital or otherwise, strikes, we're neither surprised by the external event, nor are we internally destabilized by our exaggerated opinion of its importance. It's a powerful tool for self-mastery against that flood of performance anxiety.
We've covered a lot: the philosophical foundation, the micro skill of the pause, environmental design, the mental immunization techniques. So for the listener who wants to start applying this, like tomorrow, we've put together a simple, compact 7-day starter plan.
And the key here is consistency. Even if each step only takes you 5 or 15 minutes a day, this is about strategic training.
It's a structured approach to behavioral change designed to integrate these core Stoic tactics into your week, one step at a time.
Let's run through it.
Day 1, control audit. This is pure Epictetus. Spend 15 minutes and rigorously distinguish between the digital inputs you control, your settings, your reactions, your opinions, your attention, and those you don't. The algorithms, other people's behavior, the news cycle.
I actually write them down, 3 concrete examples in each column. The goal is just to internalize. I will only focus on column A today.
Day 2, notification reset. This is your environmental resilience day, building the walls of the inner citadel. Implement those D&D blocks, Disable notification badges for all but the most essential apps, and reset all those unnecessary external pings.
Seneca taught the importance of avoiding the shock of approaching faults. This action protects your mind from those unexpected shocks.
Day 3, Stoic Pause Practice. Today, you put the discipline of assent into practice. You operationalize it. Practice the 5 to 10 second microscript, the Fantasia check, before you open any social app or check casual email outside of work time.
And ask yourself those 3 questions. What is the nature of this action? What is the likely outcome? Is this necessary right now? Make the pause a real physical thing.
Day 4, Curated Feed Digital Diet. Spend 15 minutes and do a ruthless cleanup. Unfollow, mute, remove accounts that just promote comparison, outrage, or vanity.
This is limiting consumption. It's following Seneca's advice to avoid the superfluous, the debauchery in what we consume, and ensuring our mental inputs are actually nourishing.
Day 5, Premeditated Trigger Script. Time for premeditatio malorum. Write down 1 or 2 potential digital stressors for you. Maybe it's encountering harsh political outrage or seeing an acquaintance get a huge, enviable success.
And then script a specific non-reactive response using your dichotomy of control. Rehearse that non-reactive script in your head 3 times.
Day 6, View from Above Reflection. Engage in the perspective shift. Take 1 specific status anxiety trigger, a perfect job announcement, a luxury purchase post, a flawless vacation photo, and spend 10 minutes viewing it and just mentally dissolving its perceived importance. Reinforce Marcus Aurelius' method of perspective over vanity.
And finally, day 7, Mini Digital Sabbath. This is about reclaiming ownership of large blocks of time. Hold a fixed period, an hour, maybe more, the first hour of the morning, or the last hour before bed, where the phone is completely out of reach, turned off.
This is intentional ownership. It's holding every hour in your grasp, just as Seneca advised.
Ultimately, what this whole deep dive shows is that Stoicism isn't just a philosophy of, passively enduring hardship. It's a highly strategic manual for actively engaging with the world as it actually is, noisy, distracting, and demanding.
And that digital tranquility, it isn't found by waiting for perfect external conditions, because perfect conditions don't exist and they never will.
No, it's trained internally, moment by moment. It's the consistent application of your rational judgment in the face of impulse. It's taking back all those small fractured moments of your day and aligning them with your highest purpose, your leading principle.
So here is the crisp takeaway list for you to carry forward, summarizing the core principles and the practices we've pulled from the Stoics.
We've got 3 principles, the foundations.
Number 1, agency is absolute. Focus solely aggressively on what is internal, your attention, your opinion, and your choices. Let the external noise just be what it is.
2, the pause. Use the discipline of assent, that Fantasia check, to insert rational choice between the impression and the action. Veto those automatic reactive impulses.
And 3, self-sufficiency. Build those mental and physical boundaries against external noise, the inner citadel, to make sure you are consulting the device rather than serving it.
And then the 3 practices, the actionables.
For 1, Fantasia check. That's the 5-second mental script you deploy before checking your phone to question your motive and the likely outcome.
2, environmental design. Use the notification mode with DND and intentional phone placement to protect your focus and introduce that necessary friction.
And 3, perspective tools. Employ premeditatio malorum and the view from above to mentally immunize yourself against worry, outrage, and comparison anxiety.
And the final provocative thought for you to chew on is this. If you can master your reaction to the digital world, where the forces are specifically designed and scientifically optimized to manipulate your emotions and attention.
What other entrenched dependency or difficult habit in your life might crumble under that same rigorous scrutiny? The battle for digital tranquility is really just the start of reclaiming your entire life.